Explain to me, how do we live in this 3D, in this world, without money or the use of this system? I know it's the 3D. I know that we have the ability to manifest, but how in light of the 3D? We have been so conditioned to believe that we have to work, and not only work, but work very hard to have money, to pay for bills, to do what we desire, to have what we desire. And we know, just by experience, shall we, that if we don't work, if we don't bring in money in that form of working, we'll lose everything, right? How can we pay bills? How do we pay debt? We have cars, we have houses, we have food that we need to survive off of. So how can we possibly go without work? Is that even natural? Because doesn't the word say that if a man doesn't work, he doesn't eat? Even the word corroborates that thought. So when we talk about trusting, quote unquote, in God, trusting the universe for our needs, what does that actually mean? Because when I even consider my situation in attempting to live my life freely, as if, assume the thought, right? Assume the thought. But I assumed it all the way to behavior. And yet, yes, I was able to function. I had food to eat. I have a place to live. But the bills, the credit cards, the car notes, and everything was calling at my door. And I thought I was believing and trusting and yet saying affirmations. And truly I understand that it's not about affirmations. It's not about that, because despite that, it's your energy that you carry. And despite even changing my thoughts and procuring a better thought process and energy, I seemingly could not manifest the money in the bank, the bills paid, etc. I mean, going basically bankrupt. So, how is that God? How is that God? I am in false religion, aren't I? This is false religion. This is not real. Like family and friends say, you have to get a job. What are you doing? This is unlike you. Who are you? What are you doing? You can't be asking friends and family to cover you in this time, this season that you're in of quote unquote trusting, because how are you even trusting when you're asking government or friends and family to help you? What is that about? Get to work. Find a job. Well, that's your friend. Getting a job is your friend. Getting a job is asking them too, isn't it? You're asking them for work, they give you work, they pay you. Similar. Is that trusting in God? If we are in a state where we can't provide or function on our own, and need, and lack, and so on, if we are in this type of state, despite thinking that we're trusting, we are not trusting in God. So, which leads me to believe either one or two things. Either I am in falsehood, or God is in falsehood. And who is God? So, we must conclude something else. That we're not trusting. And what does trusting entail? Let's talk about trusting in God right now. Quote unquote God, if we know who God is. We are the representation. We are the I am, right? Hence, we are what we say we are. Hence, we are money, we are love, we are peace, we are joy. Why can't we seem to contemplate on who we are to achieve, well, not achieve because we are, and actually stand on that law, on that word that we are? I think what happens is that the mind, the carnal 3D mind, gets in the way, and we take on the attributes of said thought. I need, I want, I don't have, I don't see, I don't feel. And so we get caught in the muck, in the mire, so to speak. Because we go back to the carnal thinking of, I don't see, I don't have. Where is it? It's so rooted in us. It is not our fault. Really, truly. I don't lie to you. It's not our fault. It's just what we've been conditioned. So we have to walk the fire in order to recondition, retrain our mind. What does that mean, Raji? What does that mean? Wow. I think back to people who are successful. And when you think back to their stories, they always come to the point when they have nothing. This is scary. This is going to be scary for all of us who have been conditioned to believe that we should have, that God is going to provide. What does that provision look like? And of course, in our mind, provision looks like God paying the bills, God giving me money, there's money in the bank, my bills are paid, I have the house, I have the car, everything is copacetic. Everything is good. Life is good. That's how God will provide. Or is it? Because when I read biographies, I should say, there's always a moment in time when that individual has come to the point where they lose everything. They lose the house, the car, the friends, the family even to the point of losing their own selves, losing their own minds. They are down in the ditch. They're swimming in the muck and the mire. No one to help. No one is there. Why? Why must one go through the fire like this? One is because we are holding on to the life that is no longer our own, that is representative of the system that we are choosing to leave. Am I right? Say it loud. Let's say it again. We are no longer the identity of the system we are choosing to leave. This is our choice, is it not? So when we choose to be the I am and to walk in spirit, we have to relinquish, let go of the falsehood of the mind, of the flesh, of the 3D carnal thinking, dependent upon the system. We have to come to the internal completeness, resolution, resolve, that I don't care for none of this BS. They can take everything. They can have everything. Because I am. I have everything. I am everything. So what they think they're taking away is nothing but the illusion of self. Oh my goodness. This is hard. This is a hard message for me. I'm going to confess to you, this is hard for me because for over a year, I have persuaded myself, thought to myself that I'm trusting in God, quote unquote, God, that I'm relinquishing and letting go and just be in peace and do me. And when the tides are overwhelming me, the tides of debt and lack and need, bills overlapping upon overlapping, and nothing is happening, it's questioning of faith. It questions, hey, wait a minute. Am I doing this right? Is this right? Is this God or is this me? If you understand what I'm saying, message, comment below if you can relate. Because we hear all these people, money came to me and I have this much money and I have all of this, and I'm like, well, I know I'm doing everything I need to do. Where's my money? Huh? I know you are in the same vein. If you know what I'm talking about, say halas. Huh? You know what I'm talking about. And we're looking at them like, okay, so what you're doing, because I know I'm vibrating in positive energy and I'm trusting and I'm affirming and I'm assuming, but I seem to be getting worse. Huh? Can you relate? It seems to be getting worse. Everything seems to be getting worse. Where's God for me? Where's the money? Here's what they don't tell you. You have to come to the end of yourself. And what does that mean? I mean, you're basically at nothing. I'm not talking about your physical aspect. I'm not talking about your circumstances. And that I am too at the same time. But in an internal state where you're willing to give up everything for this. And you know what? I'm reminded of a parable about, I'm going to paraphrase, I'm going to kind of like loosely reference this, but I think there were people that were provided with jewels or money or allotment. And one person says, oh, I'm going to bury the allotment. And the other person says, well, I'm going to spend the allotment. And the other person says, I'm going to double the allotment. Well, I mentioned this to say that this knowledge we have has to become a knowing, a true knowing, not about mentally thinking, because, and I say devil loosely. When I say devil, I mean the mind, the carnal mind, can easily distract and make us delusional in thinking that we're doing what we're supposed to, because it's so religious, it's so spiritual. I'm affirming, I'm trusting, I'm aligning, I'm energy, I'm speaking great things, and I'm meditating and doing this. So spirituality techniques and all that can become a hindrance. Now has become a state of mind that the carnal mind, the 3D mind, has taken on in reflection of the God, quote unquote. Do you understand what I'm saying? What looks good may not be good. What looks good is what may look like God is not God. It sounds absolutely beautiful. I love these videos. But the gurus who talk about manifestation and spirituality, I truly, I love them. I consume them. But when I speak, when I meditate, when I think about the reality in my own heart, and I am truthful to myself, something is off. And you know this. You know this to be true in your own self. Something is off. Something is not working. Because if I say I have and I can command it, why don't I have it? Why don't I have it? What is going on? Mind you, what these gurus are saying is not wrong. But you can be slightly off and be completely wrong. I've tried my first time learning how to bowl. We went bowling. Everybody, you take the ball in your fingers and you roll it down. And I would always miss the mark. I'm like, I'm lining it up, right? And still miss the mark. I'm lining it based on the markers on the floor and still miss the mark. Speed, no matter how strong, how fast, how slow, I'm missing the mark. It wasn't until one person came and showed me, hey, your thumb has to align with those lines. There's a certain way you have to hold your hand in order for you to meet the mark. Can you hear me? Everything can be all so good, so great, so true. But because we are just off, just a little, everything is wrong. It makes everything wrong. What am I saying? What am I saying? How does this look like in my life? I'll bring this to you again. For example, if you ever have known or have been someone in a really bad relationship, abusive relationship, physically, mentally, emotionally abusive, the abuse is completely dead inside. They have come to disregard themselves and who they are, but have come to take on the abuse as if themselves. They walk in a manner with their shoulders shrunken over their personality, their desire for life has completely shed. It's completely off, right? There's no desire there. There's no life there. They've lost passion. They're just a shell of themselves, right? I want you to associate this person as just in general, life in general. And the abuser, hence the system, cares nothing but to suck the life out of that one is abused. They're benefiting from it. They're benefiting from being the abuser. They're getting something from it. They're getting the life blood out of that person, right? So that they can grow stronger, right? We are feeding that system. We are the abused mate in the system, and we're feeding it by living the life that we don't want to live, by going to a job that we hate, by being in a relationship that is deprecating, right? And I'm not saying, let me say this too, I'm not saying that everything is guns and roses, everything is going to be happy and go lucky and always like this, but it will be as we say it will be, right? Why are we stuck in this system? Why is the system like this, period? Why do we allow the abuser to abuse? Why are we living on a monetary system that favors the wealthy and takes from the poor? Why are we accepting the system that says we have to work a 9 to 5, 40 hours and plus? Why are we accepting a system that says you have to be able to purchase $500,000 this and $500,000 that in order to be valued? Why? Why do we accept this abused lover, if we say? We are the abused. We put ourselves in the abused mentality. So we've given ourselves to this. We've given ourselves. We accepted it. We've allowed it. We not knowingly, not desirably, not approvingly, not of our will. No, we've been taught and trained to do so. This abused person has been taught to be none less or less than, not knowingly, but in life and just the way we're brought up and the belief system behind that person's psyche has taught I'm just not enough. I'm not matching up, and therefore, hey, I must be punished. I must suffer because we must work hard. We must do this because that's the way the system is. This is what we've learned. We've made an agreement unknowingly. So how do we break this agreement when we are observant and aware of this? So an abused woman, the only time, despite counsel, this person can have friends that would tell them, hey, leave, hey, this is not good, this is not what you want, this is da-da-da. And you can talk to you blue in the face. You know when an abuser stops being abused? Do you really want to know? Because in knowing, I'm telling you, this is a hard thing to take. An abuser, or I'm saying, maybe backtrack. An abused stops being abused when they get good and fucking tired of it. When they are absolutely at their end, they've been beaten enough, they've been spat on enough, they've been walked on over too much. They've gotten to the point where they're not scared anymore. Scared, fear has no bounds over them any longer. They somehow in their internal being got tired, sick and sick and sick and sick and tired of the bullshit. Seriously. That's when an abused stops being abused. But I'll tell you what happens before that. Then I'll tell you what happens after that. Because a lot of us are aware that we are in this quote-unquote matrix system. And we are aware of what's happening. And we are spiritualists, manifestors, gods, and so on. But this 3D has a hold on us. This carnal thinking, this carnal mind of we have to pay bills, we have to do this, we have to do that. We have to survive, survive, is getting in the way because when one is abused, you know who holds the control? Usually the abuser controls the money and controls everything, where they live, how much money she has, what she does have, what she doesn't have, who comes into her life, who doesn't come into her life. Am I right? The abuser controls, right? Which makes the whole relationship very difficult to leave. Right? Because now she's wondering, how am I going to take care of these kids? Where am I going to go? I don't have anybody. He's turned everybody away. And where am I going to go? And he's just going to find me and he's going to kill me and he's going to do this and he's going to do that. I don't have money. I don't know what's going on. And I'm just stuck because this is this and this is that and how I'm going to do it and what I'm going to do. And so that whole span of time in the abused thought process is survival. Is I have to do this because I have to do this because I have to be here because I have to live this way because. And it's logical. It makes complete sense. It makes total sense why a person will stay in an abused situation like this. Why we stay in the system as such. Because, well, we have to eat, we have to drink, we have to live, we need some place to live, we need housing, we need this and we need that, and my house is going to be taken, and my car is going to be taken, and what I'm going to do then, and nobody's there, and then what about how people think, and what people think of me, and what I'm going to do, and that they cannot going to help, and da-da-da. I'm going to end up in the streets, crazy woman. I'm going to end up just like those people in the streets talking to themselves. You know you've thought this. Comment below if you haven't. You know you have thought this. Seriously thought this. Because we have been taught. This is what I say. Sometimes evil is covered in light. We have been taught to think that God is going to provide. Well, what does that mean? We think that God is going to provide what? He's going to provide money in the bank. He's going to pay the bills. The water is going to be paid. The children's going to be fed. I'm going to be okay. God is going to provide. That's how we think of provision. Let's think of that. Let's think of that, because will he provide to an abuser just like the abuse is providing? The abuse is providing shelter, food, and drink, is he not? Listen to me very clearly, is he not? So you want, quote unquote, God to provide similar to this. Is that what you're saying? Stay in the system. Because if I'm providing food and drink and that is similar to how the system is providing, I'm staying in the system, aren't I? I'm paying the banks. You know that we're creating, that we are the actual banker and creating the debt. You know that we're doing that. You know how the system works. You know the matrix, but yet we continue in it. And we expect God to also continue in such as well. I'll explain that further in a little bit, but I want you to walk with me through this. Walk with me. And I'm talking to myself. Number one, I am the receptor of the word, this message. This is very difficult for me. I am in contemplation at this time, and you're sharing my thought process as the I am speaks. This is very difficult for me to take on. I'm seeing that this is a block in my life of resistance. And I'll tell you why. Because in the metaphorical view standpoint of the abused in this system, where we have grown comfortable, because the system is not always bad, let me say. Can I say this right? The system is not always bad. There are good times in the system. There are good times. There are people who are in the system that actually have a lot of money and enjoy their money and able to really live this luxurious life, but empty nonetheless. But they have a lot of money. There's people in that system that does well, and life is not always bad. Can we say amen? We know this, right? You do know this, right? That everybody is not downtrodden in the system, in respects, in the outer respect. In other words, they have a lot of money. Their life is well. Internally, no. But everything is well. Not everybody is poor and impoverished and in need. So we think that we can have all of it at once. We can live well and not be in the system and be in Christ, so to speak, as you understand. That's what holds us. Because we are still thinking of survival when we're in this state of manifesting or needing or calling or assuming or whatever you want to call it. We're still there, right? How do we get out of it? As I said before, the only way an abused has left an abuser is when that abused person says, enough is enough, no, not today, I've had enough of the BS. I've had enough. Can you truly say you are at that point? Can you truly say that I don't care if I lose every stinking mess that I have, physically, mentally, I wouldn't say mentally, but you get what I'm saying. I don't care if I lose the car, I don't care if whatever I lose, I just want to be in peace, be in the knowing, be in love. Now, does that come to conclude that we must lose everything? Lose literally everything? House, car, food, family, whatever? I think for some it does, because depending upon how tightly knitted we are in the system, and not just in the system, but mentally bound we are, i.e. wanting to control. Because some of us also have taken on the characteristics of the abuser. Of the abuser, wanting to control everything and seeing that everything is fine and everything is functioning in the way it's supposed to, and that, the message is okay. We can work and we can have our money, we can have this and that, but then always yearning on the inside. There's always something missing on the inside. Disregarding that, but live the life, right? A lot of us have taken that road, actually. Just an empty road. It's just a road of the, this is just life. This is the way life is, and this is how it's always going to be, and just enjoy it for what it is, and just make do, go to work, come back home, do this and do that, and, just be sensible, be logical. A lot of us has taken on that mentality, and is it okay? Is it right? Is it wrong? No, it doesn't matter. It's what you choose as you are. But for those people who have really worked the system long enough, who see it for where it leads, and who's just tired, and who's just, I am better, and I need better, and there is better, and I can see better, I see it, I want it, I am it. For those people, there has to be a break in the internal system that comes to the point where you are so tired you said, fuck it all. Fuck it all. Forget it. I'm tired of this shit, and I don't want any part of it. And mean it. And really, truly mean it. Like you will lose everything. I'm still trying to reference back to a parable, and I'm trying to see about the jewel. I think, and I have to reference, I'm trying to think back to when Jesus said that the Spirit of God is like a jewel that once found, they won't let go of it. Again, I'm paraphrasing this. Some people may know what I'm referencing to. But this is where it is. This is where we are. We are in the fork in the road. Do we decide what is logical? Or do we want what is impossible? And I tell you right now, as I stand and speak to you, I am speaking to myself. Because this is something that is deeply hitting me deeply. Because what are you saying? I have to come to the point where I lose everything? Where it's not about God coming to help you out in your circumstance in the sense that, oh, I'm going to make it right. No, you got to make it right in the sense of letting it all go. All right? Letting it all go. And you know what's funny about the abuse is that once they do this side, they say, I don't care. I'm leaving everything. I'm just taking what I need, and I'm leaving out the house, and we're going to plan to leave. Guess what happens? The abuser tries to find them, of course, and threatens them, and can maybe even make their lives even more difficult, right? They have to go through that extreme darkness of need where there's nothing there. They can't seem to find anything. They can't do anything because the abuser is in the way, and they want to kill them, and life wants to kill them, and everything is going wrong, and everything is this. Yes, they go even darker. Life gets even darker sometimes. But the benefit of it is that there's a breath. Despite all of this going wrong, because it was going wrong before. So beside all of this going on, there's a breath. There's a hope. There's a vision. Huh? There's a breakthrough happening. It's not yet. You're not yet seeing it. You're not seeing it yet because you're still getting out of the muck. Once you get out of the muck, you still have to clean yourself off. So there's still that purging happening, the purging of that mentality that had you stuck there, and coming into now a new identity, a new self, a new person. There's still that cleaning that has to happen. And so, yes, it's going to get darker. It's going to get to the point where, oh my gosh, where's the bills? Where's the money to pay these bills? How I'm going to survive? What am I going to go? Where am I going to live? I'm going to do this. Da, 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 da. All of that is still very much present. As a matter of fact, it's even more present. It's even more present. So it's almost to the point where it's like, do I go back? Do I go back? Do I go back? Should I go back? I mean, because the children need food and I need a place to stay and da-da-da. And guess what happens? Guess what happens? Despite every chaotic mess going around, quote unquote, God shows up. And somebody comes into that person's life, hey, I have a place to stay. Hey, let me give you this coupon. You can go and buy some food. Hey, I'll take care of the kids while you do this, while you figure things out. You know, what do you want to do, or what's your plan, or this and that. And maybe this person was in a state of mind that whilst in the midst of this horrendous relationship was thinking about things that they wanted to do. Maybe they were using that time to really assess their plans and what they wanted to do truly. And if that were the case, then they have a plan to pursue afterwards. But even if not, then they will come to realize, hey, this is what I want to do. Hey, there's a process. There is a process to renewing the mind, to changing or to leaving the system. And sometimes it takes leaving and letting go of everything. But more so than that, more so than the outer movement, the internal movement and resolve to say, I don't care if I lose everything, I'm just going to stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. I'm going to stand where I am, and I'm going to see how God moves and what comes into play, and just grow from there despite the death, the carnal death that is happening. What do I mean by that? That means, okay, I don't have bills to pay. God may not come like that. Do you understand what I mean? God may not come into the system to save you. In other words, it's not gonna come. It's not gonna appear like that. Maybe you'll have to lose everything to see a new life, a new person. It's not that God is not going to bless you. God is going to bless us. We are meant to be blessed. We are the salvation of God. We are the generation of. We are wealth. We are abundance. We are God. Okay, but are we God in the system? We can be. But first, you have to know who you are. First, you have to come to conclude who you are and what you offer the system. And now you drop off the system. It becomes the kingdom. Hello. It's no longer in the system. It's part of the kingdom now. Who you become is part of the kingdom. You are a king in the kingdom. What does the kingdom provide now? How does the kingdom provide? How does that system work? It's a mindset, truly. Truly is a mindset. It's a state of resolve. It's a mental state that we have to get to that is willing to lose everything in order to obtain the kingdom. I'm going to leave that there. Anyway, for those of you who are listening, who've listened, I thank you for your time. And in all things, let's be still and know. Peace.